Hello and welcome back to another video. Today, me and Ghost, as you can see, are
Hi.
we are ranking all of the racing sims. And actually, I shouldn't say racing sims, I should say simulators. And by my definition, what if they market themselves as simulators, then they're simulators. Me and Ghost have been having a few discussions about this, but that's what we are going for. And
Yep, agreed.
to make it not so judgmental or so opinionated, we're going to be as subjective as possible. We obviously have to be a bit opinionated, but we're going to try and judge them objectively. And the discussion and how we are going to rank them is on a believable scale, not realistic scale, because I feel like when you start talking about realism, you get into a deep hole
Rabbit hole. Yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
And also, neither of us have degrees in vehicle engineering, so we can't tell you what's realistic or not.
Yep.
Neither have we probably done a lot of motorsport racing really in real life.
Yeah.
But let's get started with Forza Motorsport. So it has quite a lot of cars. Maybe not the most amount of tracks. I think it does have quite a few.
Yeah, it has quite a few with good licenses, and all of the cars, most huge majority of their cars are licensed with varying degree of model quality and modification capabilities on the cars. It's near good, but it's not perfect. Like, you could like one car and it's been mistreated for years, and it's been the same model ported over the same forces for decades now. So I'd say it's a bit risky to trust that the whole car list is at the same quality.
Yeah. And also, I think another thing we should take into consideration is if it's being currently developed or not. Because with Forza Motorsport, it is currently getting updates, but it looks to be on life support due to finances.
Yeah,
so
agreed. The launch was horrible. The development process was a carnage that saved a bunch of money to Microsoft, but completely destroyed the reputation, what was left of the reputation of Forza in general. So, yeah, this is a very, very not well received game.
Yeah. I would say it can have its good qualities, but it also has quite a few bad ones. So I personally would put it in confused, because that's what I am about the whole game.
On top of the whole career mode being a grind fest that's very, very annoying to go through, and the penalty system online to be unbearably unfair. So I don't like the game.
I remember that what was it with this penalty system? Did they say like, oh, we have done reviews of thousands of hours of footage, put them into a machine learning model to see if it can judge everything correctly, and obviously it
doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Now we move on to Dirt Rally 2.0, and I would say I'm more qualified to talk about this than Ghost, because Ghost doesn't like rallying so much.
I do like it quite a bit, but I've played more of the original Dirt Rally that has Pikes Peak hill climbing, which Dirt Rally 2 doesn't. But that's pretty much the only advantage that the original game has on the 2.0. The 2.0 has an impressive car list. I'd say it has pretty comfortable and appreciable physics, and the environments and different maps are pretty diverse. I think it's a game that still holds up pretty well even today. It's not currently developed either. It's not on life support either. The Descendant, we'll talk about what has came from the couple developers that worked on Dirt Rally later, but yeah, it's still a good game in my opinion.
Yeah, I have a few comments though, because the track list, or I should say the rally list, is quite extensive. They have a lot of locations. I don't fully remember if they're real or not, but I feel like the rally list is very good. I've heard a few comments about the stages, a lot of them being DLC when they were in Dirt Rally 1, and also they didn't look so good. Then the car list, they do have some rally cars, but there are a few ones in the game which I feel like they just put there to get sort of these more casual players, like, oh, do you want to drive a Porsche 911 on around snowbanks in Sweden, or do you want to drive some weird things? I would say that. And I've also heard, I can't say I remember exactly how it feels, but I've heard a lot of comments on Reddit. I know, take it with a pinch of salt, but they have been commenting about how realistic the physics are of Dirt Rally compared to its the next game in sort of the Codemaster Rally series. But I would still say it's a very fun game. It's, as far as I understand, the second most popular rally game on Steam. Yeah. So I would actually put it in quite believable. Or maybe actually we put it there for now and then let's see what happens. Because I feel like it's a good rally game. Maybe not a sim. I will have to try that this wintertime because I'm making rally videos, because the last one was quite successful. So I will have to judge that for myself. But as I understand it and from what I remember, I would put it there. Then we have the next game, Gran Turismo 7, which I just noticed I have 2 icons of again, which I had with a few other sims. But let's go past that. I will just ask you, Ghost, have you tried it?
GT7, no, but I've heard a lot of things about it, and I have played quite a lot of the previous one, GT Sport.
Okay. I personally have not tried it because I was an Xbox kid. Now I'm a PC kid. But GT7, as I understand it, they have a lot of cars, and I mean a lot. Then they have quite a few tracks. They have both real ones and made up ones. But I would say the ones which are made up, from what I've seen from Super GT, they still look and are quite good tracks. The physics...
Yeah, so Gran Turismo, in my opinion, is a very interesting game that has a huge car list, interesting car track list and all. But the main disadvantage that Gran Turismo has against every single other one of the games on this list is that to play Gran Turismo, you have to have a PlayStation, and really preferably have a PlayStation 5, because it will not run well on the PS4. And unless the rumors of it getting ported soon or it being delayed or things like that, unless those are true, or that PS4, PS5 emulation gets good enough so it can support Gran Turismo as a game, it's a tough call. You better really be a console sim racing enthusiast to appreciate this one, and most importantly, a PlayStation player.
Yeah. I've also heard that you need to pay to play online because of this, because it's the same with Xbox where you have to pay. It's crap.
Yep.
And the physics, from what I've seen, they actually do look pretty decent. They don't like spin out from nowhere or do weird, unbelievable things, which you would say, oh, that won't happen IRL. But I have two, or mainly one point, which I feel like personally I would knock it down with, and that's the car list, because it does have a lot of cars. Most of them are sort of road cars, and if I'm going into a racing game, I don't want to be driving a Volkswagen Polo around Le Mans. I want to drive a Group C car, or I want to drive a GT1 car, not one of those. And they're adding even a Polestar next update, it seems like. And even though it's a sort of Swedish car, more Chinese now, I would still say, even though the Swedish bias is there, I would say they do have a lot of road cars, but the other cars they have are quite cool. And also they're adding I think it is a Space F1.
Yeah, I see. To take this into the bigger picture, it's an it's a very interesting package. I would love to be able to test it, and as soon as I find a way to emulate it on PC, or I get my hands on a PlayStation 5 for whatever reason, I am going to jump into it and give it a try, give it a spin, take it out for a spin. But in the meantime, it's more of a fantasy. It's more of a thought I have on the side of, oh yeah, that's a cool game that has a well-fledged career mode and a huge car list, and it's very interesting, but it's not on my platform. So yeah, that basically resumes it for me. I would put it in between can understand and quite believable, and until I try it, I can't really slice it between both, so I'd put it in can understand.
I would have put it in quite believable right to the right of Dirt Rally, because I mean,
Yeah.
I would say they're in the same sort of area of like they want to make accessible but realistic physics
Yeah.
and have a lot of cars, quite a few tracks. Only downside would be PlayStation exclusive. And talking about just the porting, or I mean, polyphony, making it PC compatible, I've read that they're going to have done it for like 2 years now, so I wouldn't say it's happening.
Yeah, I think it will happen, but near the end of life of the game slash console.
Yeah. Speaking of some things which won't happen anytime soon, Assetto Corsa Evo. Because they do have quite they have very interesting cars. They have added the F2004 recently, and
yeah.
in December they're going to add the shitbox, which is the Ferrari the Ferrari F125 or whatever they call it. And the tracks
SF25.
Yeah, they're going to add Monza. I don't fully remember what tracks they have. They have Fuji, that I remember. And overall, yeah, I would say the if we think in general, the physics, I need to what's it called? I need to readjust my FFP, because Assetto Corsa Rally, which is on this list, is the base is the same physics engine, but I would say it handles very well. So I have to double check Assetto Corsa Evo. But it's in work in progress. It's going to be V0.4. They were going to add Nürburgring this year. That hasn't happened. I will be surprised if they don't add it next year. At least the track. So I would personally say, taking everything in mind, I would put it in can understand.
Yeah, the performance is not very good, and I don't really like the GUI. Neither the car list is too small to judge for now, but their choices are questionable at best in almost every single domain. I don't really like AC Evo, so I'd rank it lower, but I guess it's fair enough to put it in the middle if you had good experiences.
Yeah, to me, I did some quick tests with like medium settings or something, and it worked and looked quite okay. I mean, it gives vibes, of course it gives vibes, of the next game on our list, Assetto Corsa. And obviously this is where probably one of the biggest discussions will be, because official content and official, like as Kunos, I would say the game is not good or believable, in my opinion. If you disregard and everything which isn't,
it's very dated. The car list is pretty good, I mean, but the very important point I have to make right here is it's the cheapest game on the list. If you don't consider the free versions of Race Room and iRacing, I'm fairly certain you can play some.
iRacing isn't free.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I thought you could do some testing in iRacing for free, but
no.
You confirm.
I tried.
Can you confirm that Race Room is free to play for a couple cars?
Well, it comes with like 10 cars or something and 5 tracks, I think.
For free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so technically it's the second best deal you'll get on the list if you consider buying any of these games, because for like a couple cents, because yeah, the game is so cheap with the gray zone keys and stuff like that, Steam activation keys, that you get basically 100 cars and about 20 tracks for a couple cents, which is a better deal than 5 tracks, 10 cars in race room.
Yeah.
Better or worse, it doesn't matter, but it's your mileage will vary in this game. You can have great mods that will greatly improve your experience, and you can have mods that will not be as good, because it's a very, very easily moddable game, and it's an old physics set, so your mileage will vary. But like the stock, if you don't know what you're doing in terms of mod, you will have a bad experience, because for example, there are no rolling starts in the base set, of course, I'm pretty sure. And there's a bunch of quality of life stuff that you don't have. The UI is very dated and a bunch of stuff like that. Once you learn how to mod the game, and it really isn't hard, then you can have a fairly good experience. But unless you know how to do that, it's a pretty hard pass.
Yeah, agreed. I've tried to play around with it. I can never make it look good, and also the physics, I feel like they are believable. But yeah, you have to think about the mods. It's very, how would you want to explain? You can find a lot out there, but it's not because the game is like the best game out there. It's just because it's the easiest to mod, and it's very popular.
Yeah, so if you really want to race with something very, very niche, like, I don't know, you want to race with a motorcycle on a Mario Kart track.
Or the Benz Motorwagen.
Yeah, or some weird other stuff, or you want to drive a tank around a city or stuff like that. And you can in Assetto Corsa, and it will be very easy to set up once you know what you're doing. But other than that, I mean, nah.
And of course, we must not remember Gabriel Bortoleto and Max Verstappen use it for testing.
I didn't know that.
No, they said it in a podcast.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised Max Verstappen uses that, because we know he does a bunch of iRacing.
Yeah, and I also think I've seen Kimi Räikkönen also drive it, and this is like knowledge from like nearly 10 years ago. It's like deep knowledge. But I would actually, I would put this in can understand.
Yeah,
and I would
agreed. If you really want to drive something niche, it might be a good option.
Yeah, because it's a good driving sim where you can drive anything. You can't really race, from what I've heard. You can't really find anybody except for the Nürburgring, Spa, maybe Monza.
Yeah, but online is pretty dead.
It's not because of the mods. I would say without the mods, it would be down here. But with the mods, it goes up there.
Yep.
And now we come to the original Automobilista. Of course, we will be slightly biased because we are racer lovers in a not so weird way. And I would say, because Ghost had a few well, he asked me, should we add it? It's quite outdated, and maybe not a lot of people race on it. But you do have people like Niels Husingveld, who basically only drives it, as far as I understand. And also, you do have a few leagues, I believe. And you have Jimmy Broadbent, who says he likes it. I don't know how credible he is. But there are people out there who do like it, and also enjoy it. And it's also quite moddable. And from what I have heard from the Automobilista devs, it is a lot easier to work with than the Madness engine. Because in Automobilista, if you want a specific tire grip curve, you just have to draw it. You don't have to do any fancy maps or play around with stuff. You just draw it.
Yeah. The main thing you need to know about Automobilista is that it's based on the I forgot how it's called, but the same game engine that the original R-Factor game used. Thus, being based on a popular games engine, it can very easily port any mod from that game. So There are lots of mods that will grandly improve your experience in this game. It has fairly realistic physics because they made them better than what the original R Factor had. And the point where it's lacking is modern feature support, such as, for example, VR or high quality graphics. But other than that, it's still a fairly interesting simulation, especially for starting out and exploring or doing some retro sim racing. It might be interesting.
Yeah, agreed. And it also has that mod of that Argentinian race car, which no sim has, which just remembers that there is Pista Motorsport, which is a sim which is being worked on, but I've barely heard anything from them. And yeah, the game feels pretty dead, so I feel like that's
Yeah.
quickly addressing it. But Automobilista, I would put it in can understand because
Yeah, agreed.
it's a very good base. And if any of you non-AMS2 fans are watching this, or Razer fans in general, and wonder, how popular is it actually? Then you should go to the forum, and then you should see how many people complain about AMS2 and say, oh, they should just go back to the AMS2, AMS1 physics engine, and they should just, why didn't they just work on that? Why didn't they da 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 da? And it gets quite annoying when they keep on repeating it.
The next game is also a very important game in the history of sim racing games because it's the successor to R Factor 1. It's R Factor 2. It has some interesting features, but it's plagued with bugs and it has very poor graphics. It's known to crash a lot. The physics sets can be fairly interesting, but it's not the most realistic on the list. It has a dead online, and as I said, it crashes a lot, and the flagship features don't work that well. So I'd say in 2025, it's a hard pass. If we were still in 2016, up to 2018, it would be a fairly interesting simulation, especially considering there's a pretty big modding community, even though it's not easy to mod for that engine. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to a new player today.
Agreed. It also has some history with my channel because I made a track guide on Istanbul Park using RF2. And it also is the first time I used run OBS Studio as admin because otherwise OBS Studio would run at 2 FPS. That's just a slight tangent, but yeah, RF2, I would say a few years ago, before my motorsport games, it was worth getting. After motorsport games, you should not get it. I would actually put it here because it is a good game, but it's dead and yeah.
It got worse recently because as far as I understand, the new GUI that they introduced, which sucks, is very non-intuitive and looks ugly.
Oh yeah.
There used to be an option to revert to the old GUI, which was great and very intuitive, and it's the game I grew up with. I started sim racing with R Factor 2 when I was 6 years old. And I loved it back then. The UI was very intuitive. I'm very fond of that UI, but they completely removed it and removed options to convert back to it. So yeah, I'm pretty salty about that too.
Okay, so the next sim on our list is, you could say, the successor to RF2, which is Le Mans Ultimate. So it is an upgraded engine of RF2, still feels slightly the same, looks a bit better, but instead of being a broad moddable game, it is a WEC game. So it's the official game of the World Endurance Championship, where you have the 2020, I believe it is 2024 and 2025 sets of cars.
No, you have 2023, 2024, 25.
I was wondering if it had 23, I forgot. I was wondering when they outphased GTEs.
You've got GTEs and it's 2023.
Yeah, okay. So they have 2023, 24, and 25. I have made a lot of videos on this game, so I would say I'm quite knowledgeable on the game. So I would say it has a quite a good online presence that I've seen.
Yeah.
It does have quite
Yeah.
a few players. The physics, I would say, I mean, in my opinion, it feels a bit too understeery. It has a few nuts and bolts. So I would say it's quite good, but maybe not. Yeah, it has a few quirks. Still, I think it has a few RF2 setup metas which you can use. Then the track list and the car list, I would say, are quite small as a sim racing game, but they are good for being a world endurance game.
Yeah, yeah. The track list, the car list, content list is very complete for what it's trying to achieve, which is an interesting concept. But I personally, I cannot drive with this game. I do not like the physics at all. It comes down to the steering at the entry of the corner. You complain about understeering, so you might be out. It's basically the engine is fucked, in my opinion. You can't drive with this game. I don't like it. R Factor 2 with some content is interesting, but Le Mans Ultimate, I can't stand it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I say you can drive it, and also sorry for the bad language there, but I would personally put Le Mans Ultimate in. I would say because this is a hard thing, because I would say because is it better than Assetto Corsa?
No, in terms of simulation, especially if you start out, it's not very good. I would put it in between both, because it still has modern features. It doesn't support VR, but it has modern features, modern graphics, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say it's quite good on it. And now we actually come to the first non-racing sim of this video. And in my opinion, it could be the first game on the top of the list because it is Euro Truck Simulator 2. In my opinion, it is quite an entertaining game. It is boring because I don't really like truck driving. But for what it is, in my opinion, there is only one flaw. And that is the map size. Because you have Microsoft Flight Sim where you can fly around the world in a true scale game. Whilst Euro Truck Simulator is a bit limited. I would say, is it limited in a bad way? No. It is limited in a good way because it doesn't feel like you have to drive for like endless hours just to get between two random Swedish cities. But it feels engaging. So I would, and for what it is, it does it very, very well. And it's one of these games which will probably never die. And it also has a lot of mods, both truck wise and map wise. It also has added cars and lorries recently. But Ghost, do you have any experience with it?
I know some friends that use it and that love it. They appreciate it a lot. It's there's a big truck simming community, so I guess if you're into that, I definitely recommend you buy this game. Other than that, as a racing simulation, we can't treat it as a racing simulation because you can't race in the game. But yeah, if you're into that, I definitely recommend you buy it. So I would put that in the most believable. Yep.
Okay, I accidentally pressed. Okay, wait. So now, the next sim on our list is nothing... I don't know how to say it in English. Assetto Corsa Competizione, which is, in a way, it is roughly the same as Le Mans Ultimate, where Le Mans Ultimate was the World Endurance Championship official game. The Assetto Corsa Competizione is the GT World Challenge official game. So it only has GT cars where they have the modern GT2. It has a few, I believe, what are they called? Cups cars. It has GT3s, GT4s. I believe that's about it. Then it also has a few tracks from the season, such as Bathurst, Paul Ricard, Silverstone, Nürburgring, Misano, Milano. No, Monza.
Mugello.
Yeah, Mugello. Does it have Mugello?
I'm pretty sure.
Anyway,
Spa. There's some big tracks like Spa, big GT3 tracks like Spa,
and Monza.
and Monza, of course.
Only 2 tracks where you actually can get races. But
I mean, that's a bit unfair because, like, what are the other examples of what you said where you can race? There are a bunch of good tracks in
yeah, but the meme
ACC.
is Spa and Monza,
Yeah, true.
which I don't fully understand because I've seen clips of multi-class racing around Monza and it doesn't look good at all.
Yeah, agreed.
Either way,
ACC
let's judge the game.
Yeah, ACC is a very, very online game. If you don't play online, I don't know what you're doing in ACC. It's called Competition. It's a very competitive style game. The physics are very planted to the ground, predictable things, and it's not the most realistic on the list, but it's close to it. It's pretty good. Performance is fairly good. I made really.
I mean, I wouldn't say that the performance is fairly good. When to make it good, you have to have a TAA, and that causes a lot of shadows and like ghosting, not shadows. And then also, in general, the performance isn't the best, and it doesn't look the best, I would say, for the performance.
Okay, fair enough. However, I want to point out that the console versions of this game do not use the same physics sets at all as the PC version. So mainly I'd privilege the right here we're judging the PC version, but beware if you want to try out this game.
Yeah, I agree. And also the FFP, I would say, is very... they try to make it feel a lot like a race car. They didn't try to make it good for a sim. They made it good for a race car. And yeah, in general, multiplayer, not a lot of people like to do that, including me. Ghost nags on about it. Like, why the hell do you play racing games? But yeah, overall, I would say I would put it at the bottom of can understand, because it is a good game for multiplayer and league racing.
There's a big
Nothing else.
multiplayer scene. Nothing else, agreed. Unless you're really, really fans of the modern GT2 and the more niche stuff that they have, but nah.
Yeah. Okay, so now we come to this game, I would say, Grid Legends, which Ghost wanted me to put on the list. So Ghost, why did you want it?
Grid should be taken more as a career mode experience point of view. It has an interesting car list, but it's very, very centered on the career mode. I don't know much more than the physics aren't the best, but it's an interesting thing to at least explore, to try out. If you don't like it, refund it. But if you're really, really looking for a fully fledged out, interesting, long career mode in a racing game, I think you should give this a try. I don't know much more than it's not very interesting. I might have a look at it some more, but I know if you want to do a career mode and you want it to be an interesting experience, you should try Grid.
For me to explain it, I would explain it as a sim racing version of Asphalt, which is a mobile game where you have NAS and then you just jump and crash into everything. Which is how I see Grid Legends, where you drive around fictional street tracks around famous cities like London, and you drive weird cars and crash into each other.
I think they have Daytona. Don't quote me on that, but I think they have some real tracks too.
At least they have the Bolide, I believe, which is like one of my favorite cars.
Yeah.
But it's also stopped getting support, and it doesn't look like they're going to release anything similar.
No, basically dead. Dead. But the career mode is solo, so you might be interested in that.
Yeah, so it can be good. So I would put it at the bottom of confused.
Yeah, confused. Yep.
And here we come to possibly either the first one in the bottom or very close to that. Project Motor Racing.
Currently, it's unplayable. It doesn't deserve to be anywhere else than the fully bottom. It was overhyped and it under-delivered, but when you consider it's based on a farming simulator game engine, I mean, that's basically all you need to
Graphics
know.
engine.
In terms of graphics, yes, but there was too much promise with too little backing of the actual what they delivered. So unless it becomes good in the coming years and they have a lot of work to do, a bunch of basic features don't work, especially in the online, and some things that they advertise are simply just like not true. The physics sucks and a bunch of other stuff. And the most prominent issue is performance. You basically cannot run this video if you have anything under $1,000 PC.
Yeah. And
in practice, why not? But at that point, just use Raceroom. I mean, it's free.
Yeah, I made a video on it. It's actually the last video I made on this channel before this one. And you can clearly see why it's on the bottom. It has gotten an update recently. I can fix the music to actually mute it. But is it worth to go up? I would say currently no. Maybe in a month or two when they fix quite a few things, then possibly. I will be making a video in the... Well, it seems like they're working quite quickly.
I'd give it 6 months in the oven, really.
Okay, so we're going to give it we give it 9 months like a baby, if you're talking about like things in the oven. So I will make a video on it when I deem it to be in a stable state, which currently it definitely isn't. Ian Bell being Ian Bell, I didn't listen because I had false hope. Will I refund the game? As I said in my video, no, because it might be good in the future, so might as well have it. It's also moddable. You can extract mods from car models from it quite easily, we noticed.
Yep.
And in general, I would say the car list is the best thing with the game.
I disagree. They have no open wheelers. They have...
I'm not saying it's a good car list or a great car list. I'm just saying out of everything the game has, the car list is the best thing with the game.
Oh yeah, it's the best thing with the game, but it's not a good car list. If you consider,
it has the 9X8.
Yeah, who cares?
Well, I know you know someone who cares, but let's not get into that. Let's jump into probably a game which I will be biased in positive ways for, and that's Raceroom. It's a very old racing game, which has the team which made Raceroom is part of the team which made GTR 2. It's a complicated history. But
yeah, it dates back all the way to the original AA F1 games before it became its own thing, and then they made GT Legends and GTR and blah blah blah, GTR 2, and now it's Raceroom.
Yeah. So basically, in general, it's a Swedish game. It has a very different strategy in terms of DLC, where you get the game for free and you buy the cars and tracks individually, which you want. It has a lot of obscure cars, I would say. It has the DTM license, and it has a lot of cool tracks, such as Falkenberg, Anderstorp, Mantorp. It has Avus. Well, not the old Avus, but...
No, unfortunately, no. You'll
it
need
has
a set of course for that.
Sachsenring, the Dauritzling, or whatever that one is called, the Trioval. It has very cool things.
They have some fictional stuff, some uphill, hill climbing fictional stuff too.
That one I would say is very good. I really like the hill climb.
The value of using Raceroom is very interesting, and you'll notice my wording here, using, because as you mentioned, it's a free game. You can actually go on their website to see what content you can buy afterwards, and it actually tells you what is free and what is not. So if it's a pretty strong recommendation, especially if you've never tested a racing simulator and you want to get into it. I could say it's a pretty strong recommendation. The graphics just got updated recently, and the shaders look pretty good. However, the textures are still pretty low definition, and I personally can't get around the physics very well. It's just like LMU, not in the sense that it feels the same as LMU, in the sense that I can't drive it just like LMU. But some people enjoy it. I know you Racing Legend can use it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I think the physics are, I mean, the FFB is quite good. The physics, I would say the issue is the cars seem to have no real slip and no real, you can't, it's like, the like edge of grip is like non-existent, and it feels like
yeah.
it feels like the opposite of how AMS2 felt in like V1.4,
Oh yeah, I see.
where AMS2 slid too much, Race Room you have too little slip. And as you said, the graphics and everything. But it seems like KW, the suspension group, who own the game now, are actually putting more money into the game for it to develop more, and that's actually a positive. So in my opinion, I don't know what Ghost would do, but in my opinion, I would put it here.
Yep, agreed. I'd put it higher in the list especially because it's free and there's a lot of value in that. I'd put it right next to Gran Turismo 7, in my opinion. However, you can argue. However, you can argue that you can have a better experience in an AMS1 and a sort of Corsa Competizione in terms of physics, which makes it a better deal than Race Room. Anyways,
I would say it only goes here because Automobilista 1 and ACC are not being developed currently, and also it does have it has a mild, strong multiplayer part. But there is actually one thing I don't like about that game, the sim, and that is that you have to pay for liveries and you can't make your own, which grinds my gears.
And yeah, that's not cool.
Something which is very cool, which we might put up in the most believable, which isn't a racing sim, and that's BeamNG Drive, which is basically, if you haven't seen videos of it, basically,
BeamNG Drive is an experience simulator, in my opinion. You create scenarios, or you take some of the pre-existing ones. They have no licenses, even though they, wink wink, almost got a Fanatec license in the sense that they almost copied their logo. But it's a very interesting simulation in the sense that modding is extremely easy to do in terms of tracks, for example. In terms of cars, for example, because you can buy another game called Automation, the car Tycoon, I'm pretty sure is the full name. And at the end, you fully create your car of your dreams with a bunch of technical parameters and design it exactly how you want it. At the end, you have a export to BeamNG button, and you can directly drive it in BeamNG, no questions asked. It directly works, and it's a great combo. It's a very interesting experience. I will note that BeamNG Drive is a forever beta, in the sense that it's currently being developed, and it often comes out with experimental features. It has full VR support. The graphics look very good, but they can also look very awful if you have bad system specs. So it's a very flexible engine, which I find interesting. And the flagship feature of this simulation is the damage. The damage in this game is the most realistic you'll ever see of the whole list. So if you want to smash up some cars and make your own dream cars and make your own scenarios, it's the game to have. In terms of racing stuff, you're going to have a really hard time setting that up. There is a bunch of content, a bunch of mods, but it's very lacking in terms of racing features. You're not going to have a career mode. You're not even going to have setting up test sessions, qualifying, or race. It's going to be very hard to configure. So unless they do some actual development in that sense, I wouldn't recommend it as a racing simulator, but just as an experience simulator to create your own favorite car and crash around with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly, sort of what I was going to say. I was going to say, basically, it's a crash simulator with racing added on top of it. Because I remember I remember the first time I actually saw BeamNG was a long time ago when I was religiously watching Jacksepticeye videos, and he made a video on this on the game. But now, really, I do own it. I've not really played with it because I've had a few performance issues, but that might have changed recently.
Yeah,
So I don't know. But it is a very good game for what it does, because it says it's a driving simulator, and it also has rallying now. They've added rallying as a feature, and I would say that rallying is like it's one of the like best things you can do in the game, because you just crash and it causes damage. So I
also point out,
personally,
in terms of mods, it has the best motorcycle mod I've ever seen in any racing game, the Suzuki GSX-R750, which is the most popular motorcycle mod for the game. It is incredible to drive, especially in VR. I've rarely had the occasion to drive with a motorcycle in a racing game, but this is such an experience.
yeah, it also has the Nürburgring, I believe, and Spa and other tracks unofficially.
Nürburgring, Spa, and don't quote me on that, but I think Laguna Seca are laser scanned, like LiDAR featured and stuff, as well as Pikes Peak too, and all its versions are laser scanned and made by the community. And there's a bunch of other tracks, for example, the full NASCAR calendar with the current NASCAR cars, obviously Mario Kart stuff in Formula One, and you can basically do everything.
And I believe it is the most played game on here, because I believe it has like hundreds and thousands of players.
It's the most played racing game on Steam,
which is interesting. But I personally, for what it does the best of it. Let me
in its category,
rephrase.
It's the best in terms of racing experience. Like scenario creation, it's very, very good. In terms of a racing simulator, I still have a couple doubts. They could develop that in the way that they developed towards rallying. They could also make racing and make it very interesting, but it's still very lacking in terms of menu. If you don't know if you're used to more casual racing games, or not more casual, but more normal racing games like the other stuff that's on this list, you're gonna get lost very quickly in BeamNG. So unless you're very interested in the flagship features I talked about, I'd say pass if you're really looking for a realistic sim. Although the physics are interesting. Yeah. So I'd say quite believable.
Yeah, I was going to put it at the top of quite believable, because it has a few nicks and bolts, so it can still go up, but in its current stage, it is quite believable.
Yeah. Yep.
Now you come to another sim which is more up my road, and that's WRC. No, it's EAWRC.
Yeah.
And Ghost, do you have any idea about do you have any knowledge of the game?
A little bit, yeah. I know a little bit of the content and physics, but I haven't tried it at all.
Yeah, so it is used to be the official WRC sim after the horrendous game which was WRC Generations.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was after that, and I bought it, and I thought, if I remember correctly, because I was rewatching my old videos, I actually thought the physics and everything were quite nice. There were a few things which maybe weren't the best, but it was a good game. Only issue was performance, really, and it's not the most played rally sim out there on Steam. But I would still say it is quite good. If I were to recommend you to get a racing sim, would it be EAWRC to start out? No.
No.
Is it better than Dirt Rally?
Technically, it's not a racing simulator because it has no forms of racing. Dirt Rally 2 has Rallycross, which you can qualify as racing, but EAWRC is purely rallying. So if you're looking for a rallying simulator, why not? It's in the list, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I just want to point out that like rallying is the full name would be rally racing, like rally raid is also racing has different forms, and rallying is one of them. Even though you're not racing PvP, not PvP, but you're not racing like against each other in the same way. So it all depends on if you like more time attack sort of, which I prefer because of WRC, or if you prefer racing against AI or real people like Ghost. So it depends. But I personally, if I find my cursor, I would put it at the bottom of can understand. Because it isn't getting any more support, but it's still a decent game.
Yeah.
Just sad that EA canned it and now Nacon have gotten the license again. But we'll get back to that, to why I think that was actually a good thing for rallying in general. But now we come to probably the most biased we will be this video, and that's with Automobilista 2, which is the current game being developed by Brazilian developers Reza Studios. It has got quite good ratings on Steam, and in general, the content-wise, it has a lot of things which a lot of people would like, because it has virtually any F1 era you want. They're missing maybe like 2 or 3.
They're missing the 50s and the mid 2000s.
Yeah, they're missing like a few eras which were maybe a few years. They do have
apart from that, it's very, very complete.
Yeah, they do have a few cars. No, they have one licensed F1 car from the 50s. No idea when it's going to get added. But yeah, that's public information. Then tracks-wise, it has the world's most popular tracks. It also has a few obscure Brazilian ones, though.
Yep.
So, in a way, and it's also getting currently developed. Performance is also very, very good, because it's based on the Madness engine.
Yeah, it's based on the Madness engine, so it has a lot of common things in common with Project Cars 2, apart from the physics, which are way better, and the graphics are also way better. But yeah, I strongly recommend you play Amos 2, because it has a very complete car list, an even more complete track list, very modern features. If you play VR, what the hell are you doing? You should play Amos 2, because it's the most optimized for VR too. So yeah, it's a very, very strong recommendation.
Yeah, physics we won't get into that strongly, because AMS2 physics is, I would say, the biggest talking point in sim racing, because you have a lot of people saying, oh, it's unrealistic, and let's not get into it, because then we will be sitting here for an hour.
My opinion is it's the best thing out there, and that's why we play it. But some people don't agree, and we'll just leave it to that.
Yeah. And another thing which is also a negative about AMS2 is that the multiplayer is in a weird state where, because it's based on the Madness engine, and it was designed for consoles, the multiplayer system, instead of having like a proper dedicated server where all of the data goes to the server and then goes back to each client sends all their data to all the other clients, and vice versa. And that's what I've been told. And that gets very complicated and messy, and also doesn't work as well as having a dedicated server. There
are dedicated servers.
Yes, but it doesn't work as properly.
Yeah.
I've heard or suspect from what I've read from Renato is that they might actually be implementing proper multiplayer systems, but time will tell on that. So I personally would put AMS2, I would put it second in quite believable. I would only put it behind BeamNG Drive, because BeamNG Drive, what it does, I would say it does its thing better than AMS2 does its thing, because Automobilista 2 is a racing sim, and an integral part of racing is multiplayer.
Yeah, and it doesn't have a career mode either. That's coming too, but it still doesn't have it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
in terms
most
of a
sims here
complete
don't have
package,
it.
fair enough, but it advertises it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's an important part. And yeah, it's on the path of becoming one of the best racing games in terms of simulation, purely simulation, like only the driving. For me, it's top of the list, no questions asked. But in terms of the global package of the game, it still can improve and can become better than BeamNG.
I think Euro Truck Simulator is more realistic. But either way, now we come the next game. I will let Ghost talk about it because he wanted me to add it. I've literally got no clue about it.
Yeah, so this is a Tawny Stewart, All American Racing, Sprint Car Racing. There are a couple games under the Tawny Stewart umbrella. This is if you're a fan of cheap American style racing on like dirt short tracks or asphalt short tracks and sprint cars and stock cars and stuff like that, but not proper NASCAR stuff, just like the cheap stuff. That if you want to play any content related to that and don't want to play as Corsa and you want a career mode, you should buy a Tony Stewart game. I strongly recommend it. The career mode is very good. The physics aren't the most realistic thing, but the experience is globally very good. So if you're interested in that, strong recommendation. Global package is, I'd say, confused because it doesn't have much to offer other than what it's trying to do. But I put it in can understand right next to EAWRC because it still gives a pretty good experience.
Here.
Yep.
Okay. And then NASCAR 25, do you have any comments on it?
Yeah, I'd say that it's a very game that's very easy to pick up, and you have a good racing experience in the sense that you feel pretty immersed. But again, the physics aren't as realistic as it could be because it's tailored for and adapted for console players and people using gamepads. So yeah, take it as you will.
So where do we put it?
I'd say right next to Can Understand. Right next to Le Mans Ultimate, actually. Because
Okay,
it
so-
offers a better racing experience in career mode than Race Room.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen a few negative things about it, but I haven't played it, so I can't really say a lot.
Yeah.
Then F125, I've not played that
Oh, boy.
either.
Me neither, but I've played a bunch of games in the franchise.
Yeah, me too.
If
I've
you're
played
really into
a
F1
lot.
games and you want the full experience of the game of the franchise, and you really like F2 and F1 cars and the full calendar with a full career mode and stuff like that. If you want the full experience of F1, I'd say it's a fairly good recommendation. If you really want the 2025 version, go for it, but I more recommend an F123 in terms of physics. And of course, if you don't mind going a few years back, F1 2019 and 2020 are very good at what they do. I'd say it's about between Race Room and AMS because it still offers quite a lot of cutscenes, career mode, and high quality content.
Also has quite a few multiplayer racing leagues.
Yep, fair enough.
And now we come to, well, I would say currently my favorite racing game. Ghost, I bet, gets annoyed about how much I talk about this. But
no, it's fine.
Yeah, but it's the one I'm currently in love with, and that's Assetto Corsa Rally. It's only been out for maybe like it's been out for less than 1.5 weeks, or roughly actually 1.5 weeks, and I am in love with it because the graphics, they look awesome, and for me the performance is quite good. Even though I have DLSS on, it still looks amazing. The handling, the brakes are an issue, but in my opinion, it's very good currently. It is currently on V0.1, so you have to judge it on that. It has like 20 cars, I think, and 4 full stages, so it doesn't have a lot of content currently. So yeah, it's maybe not, wouldn't maybe be that far up, but I personally, in the current state that it is, how it looks to be in the future, and just in general how much I love it, I would put it at the bottom of quite believable.
Yeah.
Because what
Agreed.
it does, it's really good. And also why I think the licensing deal with the WRC license was a good thing that it got delayed is because I said to Corsa Ladley, because now there will be more pressure on Nacon to actually nail everything to do with EA, do with their WRC game, because if it's crap, then everybody will just go back to Assetto Corsa Rally or any of the older games. But if they nail it, then everybody will go to that, so it puts more pressure on it.
Yep, and that's going to be interesting for consumers. Agreed. Next on the list,
talking about consumers,
very interesting. Is very interesting if you're 100% in the online aspect of sim racing. If you absolutely love to race online and want to race against very competitive people and even real life racers, the game I would recommend is iRacing. It's subscription based, which is pretty original compared to the other formats of the games on this list. And has a lot of content, a pretty old engine, and not very good graphics, but it's the biggest online community in terms of racing leagues and stuff like that on this list. And I also want to note that it punishes a lot in terms of making mistakes in contacts. Anything you do in this game wrong, you'll get punished for it, even if it's not your fault, or if there's consequences, then you get punished.
Yeah. The physics are, I would say, a bit iffy. From what I've heard, the car breaks traction too easily. I also did some tests on it a few months ago, and I would say that it's not the best out there with that. Multiplayer, I would say it's the best thing out there. Even though it's subscription based and buying all content will probably cost basically as much as your monthly wage.
Yep, hundreds.
Yeah, I would say that it's, great for that. It's becoming better with AI now, but still the single player experience is not good at all.
Yeah. If you want to have career mode, don't subscribe to iRacing.
I personally would put it at the top of can understand.
Yep, agreed.
Because it might have the best multiplayer out there and the most racers out there, still people like to give it a bit more credit, in my opinion, than what it deserves, because there are a lot of things which it does which it should do better, but since it's the only sim which does multiplayer in the same way it does, a lot of people excuse all of the bad things with it.
Yeah. It's kind of the syndrome of having one good feature that saves a game. Wink, wink, Le Mans Ultimate, I forgot to talk about it, but it has a unique, well, technically not unique, because rFactor 2 also has this session saving where you can do like half of a race and then go to the pits and decide, well, I'll continue this race tomorrow, and just save the state of the session and then come back to it. This is a pretty unique feature. As I said, it's also in rFactor 2. However, I will note that it doesn't work very well in rFactor 2, so I'd recommend more using it in LMU. And it kind of saves the game in the sense that it's a unique feature that makes you want to play the game, and it kind of saves the flaws. Same thing with iRacing and its multiplayer.
It's also in F1.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, or at least when I was used to race it in probably F1 20 or 21 or what it was.
Yeah, me too. I remember. I should note also, Forza Motorsport and the F1 games have features such as flashbacks and rewinds, where if you make mistakes, you can roll back to a previous moment of the race just moments ago to retry your corner or not make a mistake. It's debatable if it's an interesting feature, especially in single player career mode. You can give yourself difficulty by disabling it. I think it's good to have many options of how you want to race, and I'd love to have it in AMS2, for example. But I understand that a lot of people don't like the feature existing because they think it would be overused. And obviously it's not you can't enable it online.
Yeah. And now we come to the, I would say, the rally game, which is the closest to Assetto Corsa, and that's Richard Burns Rally, where the physics have been regarded as like the best in rallying. I will be double checking my opinion on this when I actually do a video on it, but it's possibly the oldest sim on this list. I believe it's from like 2003, maybe. But there's this rally sim fans, a Hungarian-based sort of modding team, which have compiled. I think I've heard like close to or over 400 stages from all around the world, where they're all different surfaces and everything. And it has a lot of very cool cars. I recently learned that it had Volvos, which makes me even more intrigued. But yeah, Richard Burns Rally, it's a very good sim. This is the rally sim I would recommend people, because even though it might not look the best and maybe isn't the best handling, depending on who you ask, it's still free. So you can get like a lot of content for free. The negative part about this, or I would say, yeah, the main part, is that they haven't changed the textures. So the game still looks like it is from 2004. And that's maybe why I personally wouldn't drive it and why I prefer Assetto Corsa Rally. But if you don't really care about graphics, then I would definitely recommend it. So, and it also is quite a good multiplayer stage where people love doing online rallies. So, in my opinion, at what it does, I would put it here. No, not there. Here. Because
what it
for
does,
a rally
400
game,
stages.
it does the best.
Yeah.
Why I don't put it on over BeamNG due to the graphics only.
Yeah. Last and definitely least, pun intended there.
We don't really have to
Rennsport
talk
is one
about.
of
We
the
can just
newer-
put it there.
Fair enough, but I want to point out it has only modern content, and well, when I played the free beta, I took it from the perspective of feeling like, well, I'm going to try and take it as if I was playing AMS1 or R Factor or an older game, take it from that perspective. And it kind of worked in the sense that I felt detached from the game, but not very immersed. At no point, well, when driving with it, I felt very immersed in the game. The online and all that stuff, it has a bunch of issues, so it's a strong pass, especially now that it's paid for. It used to be free because it was a beta, but in my opinion, it should still be a beta and it should still be free.
Yeah. So basically, it has been bad from the start, where they made like a reveal where I remember they showed off a Porsche and it looked quite good. Then they had this whole thing where they were getting sim racers and a professional sim racers all in together in one room to race and then show off everything and say like, oh, this is going to be the ultimate racing game out there for sim racers who want to race professionally. We are going to contact ESL. We are going to have our own little racing league. We're going to earn money from it. And that's where basically all the bad things started, because they were focusing primarily on professional races, and that they had a few races. The people, I've not heard really anything positive from them, from the racers. I remember James Baldwin not liking it, and then I also remember, what was it? No, they were saying that we had completely new physics. We made everything by ourselves, even though they had bought parts of the ISI engine and implemented it into their game, which is the basis, I believe, of Race Room and Automobilista 1, and also AMS2 has partly ISI engine, I believe.
Yeah, partly. Very partly.
Yeah, then after that, they had the open beta. I made a video on it. I drove the game for that video, and I've never touched it since then. The release was a complete, it was very bad. I remember I watched a video. I believe he's not Dave Cam. I don't remember his name, but there was a guy who bought Rennsport, opened it, checked the cars, saw that delivery cost, what was it, €3, €4, and instantly refunded the game. Because, I mean, Raceroom, at least it costs €0.50 or something for a livery, not $4 for an official game.
Originally they wanted to make them NFTs even.
Well, they were explaining basically what an NFT is, but then they said, no, it's not NFTs. And basically what Ghost is talking about, that each car was going to basically have a connection to your account, where it's going to say your race record, and it's going to say your mileage and all of these things. It's going to be yours. You're going to, in quotations, own it. So, yeah, it was bad. And I believe it was Basic Ollie who made the video, if I remember now. And also, the only thing it has in Raceroom, which no other sim has, is, I believe, the Praga Bohemia. I believe that's the car. And also the Jeddah Corniche circuit, which has also opened up questions about where financing comes from. Because no other sim has really added that track.
Well, technically no, because the F1 game has it, but anyways, I see what you mean. And I'm sure you can find it as a mod in Assetto Corsa. Anyways.
Yeah. So, in general, yeah, it didn't promise a lot. It's still worse than Project Motor Racing.
And that's a pretty low bar.
And on that bombshell, let's us finish this video. So I hope you liked this video. Comment down below if you liked it or if there was anything bad. And once you're down there, please hit the like button and also subscribe.
Comment also down below what other game you would have liked to see on this list.
Yeah, or if there's any other game you want me to try, or if there's any other video you want me to do with Ghost. And I will definitely listen if you're watching, because this video has been over an hour and 10 minutes long. So, yeah. And then my next video, we have to see what that's on, because it could be one of the... I'm thinking I'm going to leave the rally games for a little bit longer, so I will play maybe Assetto Corsa Evo, because I've been meaning to set that up, because they're adding the SF25 to it, which will probably be out after the Abu Dhabi race, which is the week of recording this. And before we say goodbye, speaking of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, who's going to win the World Championship?
We'll see.
Okay, so you don't want to guess?
No, no predictions.
Okay, I predict Verstappen because McLaren are McLaren. But until then, I've been Racing Legend, he's been Ghost, you've been my Amazing Viewers. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!